and that like nobody cared. You know, nobody was going to bother you. Nobody was going to like roll their eyes like, oh, this guy get like. It was really just a weird, very strangely accepting, debauched, insane group of weird performers. Yeah.
Were you there before or after Surf Reality? Like, you know, Surf Reality like was there and then it ended.
Yes.
Were you there?
I was
early?
there. I started 2 weeks after Surf Reality ended forever.
Whoa, dude, our timelines are like the same. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, or it might have been 1 week. It was like really right after. And so, although many years before, I had been in a comedy group that performed at the old Surf Reality. Like, I had performed at Surf Reality many, many years before, but not at an open mic, not at any of the scene stuff. And so, you know, when I first started doing it, it was all at Collective Unconscious, which has since been demolished, of course, and turned into high-income housing. I think that's what they call it.
High-income housing. That's how they sell it.
I think it's been turned into like super crazy condos. Or something.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I missed Surf Reality, which is a shame in a way because it really was. But then again, though, I mean, as a former New Yorker yourself, is there any part of New York that wasn't better a month before you got there?
I feel like that's everywhere, though. I live in
Anyone wants to
Austin.
tell you, like, oh my God, this isn't the real New York. You should have been here in this, or you should have been here for this thing, man. And it's like, you just almost have to just accept that you will never have been there at the cool time. No matter what happens, you missed it.
I don't know. I mean, whenever I kind of describe the time, I mean, the world we were in, man, was a weird ass world. And I mean, it's funny because I only lived in New York a little bit before I found the scene. And so like my entire New York experience is that. So it's like a bunch of crazy weirdos 3 times a week, like total insanity, but full support for all of it. Like people of all ages and lots of just insanos. Like, oh my God. Yeah, it was a beautiful time though. I mean, I do enjoy it. Sometimes I think about, because Patrick and I perform and do things at this place called the New Movement here in Austin. And when I meet some of the 20-somethings, I think, oh my God, this is your like Surf Reality. You know what I mean? Like, you are here and this is your time to be experiencing this thing. And because I always think about that, they're like, you know, because when people have to move away or whatever, I go, it's fine, just find another crowd. Like, that's what's great. There's peak weirdos all over, and they want to be your friends, and like just go find them, and they're great. And it's just wild to have found another like it's not as insane. Don't get me wrong. None of what Austin thinks it is when it says keeping it weird is even remote. It isn't even a boring night at one of the open mics, Jeff. Like, not even a little bit. When people are like, this is crazy, I was like, yeah, have you ever seen somebody poop in a baby tub? Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever seen someone go on stage with a dress made of meat who wasn't famous and rich? Mm-hmm. They just did it out of their own stupid house.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. There were definitely... There were. I mean, the way I used to describe it would be like there are comedians, there are musicians, there are poets, and then there are things indescribable. Like, you don't know what they are, and sometimes there would be stuff on there that you didn't know that you knew what it was. Like 6 months after seeing somebody like just go up on stage and kind of like putter around and talk about their life or something. Like 6 months, I'm telling you, there was at least one person, and I won't say their name because you probably know this person.
Okay.
But they were like, anyway, doing comedy is really hard. I was like, oh shit, is that what was happening this whole time? like, oh my God! Like, I had no idea that that's what you thought of this. But it's like,
I know, right? Oh, that being said, though. One of the first events I ever went to at Collective Unconscious was this booked mic. It wasn't even an open mic. It was a booked show. And Milton Katz was 19 years old, and he gets called up on stage because he's booked, and he proceeds to spend 6 minutes smoking a cigarette, and then he walks off the stage, and it was brilliant. And I was like, oh, I'm hanging out here. This is what's happening. But
I
the
might
funniest...
have been on that show.
You probably were.
I may have been on that show. Then again, that was a lot of Milton's set, so it's hard to,
that happens too.
It's hard to say if it was any one specific night.
Oh man, yeah. Speaking of which, he is also scattered across the country. How did you take the leap to Albuquerque? What was the move? Is Liz from there, or do you know anyone there? Did you go to college there?
No, you know what it is
because you're from Connecticut, aren't you?
I'm from Connecticut originally,
right.
And then I lived in New York. I lived in New York since '94, or '93. It's from '93 to 2009. I lived in New York, and when Liz and I first started dating, we came to visit her parents who live here, and it was just not everybody. I bet you this is true of a lot of places. I bet you this is true of Austin. Not everybody gets it. Not everybody comes here and is like, I love it here, and I'm going to have to find a way to be here a lot. Some people are here and everything's beige, the same color beige. Everything is that a certain shade of brown, and it's I think there's a law about it, and I got to get out of here. And that wasn't. I just immediately loved it. I was like, wow, this is. Because I'd always kind of been curious about New Mexico. I'd always kind of wanted to come out here, and so and then every time we would come out to visit here, we would be on our way back to New York, and we would just feel like I don't want to go back to my little tiny apartment.
Yeah.
In the dark, and I know people who I never actually really liked New York that much. And I know I said I just lived there for 16 years. But I didn't really like it. But I have a good ability to endure things I really don't like very much. And so I don't know if that's a positive thing, but I do it.
I mean, as an adult, overall, I'd say it's probably a good skill to have, honestly. I mean, it doesn't sound like fun, but,
comes in handy.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. The thing about doing stand-up is to me, stand-up. I read a quote the other day about writing, where they were saying your job as a writer isn't to express yourself, and it isn't to make great art. Your job is to keep people from despair. That was what they were. That was their kind of point of what they thought writing was for. And for me, stand-up. When I was a kid, when I was junior high, high school. Stand-up, listening to stand-up was so that. It so kept me from just feeling like I'm alone in this weird world. When the way I would hear it would be, it was a radio. There was actually just a local radio station out of Hartford, Connecticut, that had on Sunday nights they had comedy hour, and it was 1 hour of somewhat censored. They would bleep stuff because it was the radio, but it was it was comedy. It was George Carlin. It was not so much Richard Pryor because it's too hard to bleep the good Richard Pryor stuff. They didn't. But it was Cosby before he was a horrible monster rapist, and
the good days.
Richard Lewis and Seinfeld and whoever. But it really was when I was a kid, it really was oh my God, this is. I'm so happy I found this. This exists. I'm so happy. And my dad had really liked George Carlin, and so I was really connected to that. And it was by the time I actually got around to doing it, I don't think it was that for me anymore. It was sort of a thing where I was I had to do it. I had to do it so I knew I could do it. I had to know I could get up, do stand up, and succeed in a way that people who had no reason. An important bar for me with any kind of art stuff is, the people who have no reason to like it. You know what I mean? The people who have no allegiance to you, or they don't know you personally, whatever. And I just, I felt like I needed to try that with stand-up. in New York. I really felt like I got to get to a thing where they only give it to you if they like it. And I got one TV gig on Comedy Central, one of those little, was Live at Gotham, one of those things.
Mm.
And I was like, this is awesome. This feels, that was terrifying and wonderful, and it was great. And I swear to you, that week I was like, yeah, as I said before, I was like, yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm done with that. And so that's sort of been my weird creative process, is like I finally get to a place where I'm like, great, check that off.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm kind of done with that for the moment. So, I don't know.
You know what, though? I really feel like we all get to be different people. You know what I mean? Over the years, you know, even the time we spent in the artstar scene, and then now whatever world that we're in now, it's like I'm a different person than I was then. Like even just when you greeted me, I was all like, Pacheco. Now she was a crazy girl. Like, but it's like, and I think about, you know, and immediately I was flooded with like, oh God, this is what Jeff knows of me. And it's funny because I'm different now. You know, I have a different vibe to people. You know,
Sure, of course.
As you get older, things change. And then also, like, I'm still doing theater. I teach theater. That's my job. That's my only job. And perform it and try to do as much as I can to make money doing this kind of stuff. And so because of that, and because of living in this kind of town, you know, I have a whole nother world here, a group of people I have to impress. Instead of open mics, though, it's casting agents. And though thankfully with the theater, I can with the sketch show, I can pretty much say whatever I want on stage. I mean, if I really, thank God I'm not that like crazy like political, because like I could turn that whole show into like total insanity. But I'm like, nah. People are trying to get away from the world. They want to walk in here and have a funsy time and be like, look at those weirdos. So, but you know, it's just funny how you get to be different things. And so I think that it's like not crazy. Like I remember when you left and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he's not going to do stand-up anymore. But like now I wouldn't, like the stand-ups in town would laugh me off stage if I tried to go up. I certainly couldn't do my old, hey, you like me material. I'd try, though. I'd try real hard.
Well, it is really funny how how I mean, like how you change. It's like, you know, I basically met Liz, my wife, at the Mr. Lower East Side competition.
Oh,
yeah. That's basically how I met her.
Which, by the way, for the audience, is the most insane competition of men against men, and in a beauty sort of pageant where there's three rounds, and they're just increasingly gross and insane. I'm sure Jeff did something lovely. I don't recall, but you know.
Well, the year that I won it, my talent competition was to cut a wetsuit off of my body to music. But to be honest,
sounds rough.
Of my talent competitions, I was in the competition 3 times. I felt that was my weakest, but it did win. One year I safety pinned a bunch of candy to a dance belt, to like a jock strap, and I had that on underneath a child's fireman costume, like it was around Halloween time. And I danced to Donna Summer's Hot Stuff. That was that. Yeah. And then there was one year where I actually glued, or like, you know, spirit gummed cotton balls to my eyebrows and upper lip, and I did a monologue as Mark Twain. which like this is the most rabid. This is the most rabid crowd of insane. Like it's just a night for like. The audience is entirely women and gay men, is who are asked. I mean, like, that's on the flyer. I mean, it's like women and gay men, you are here to judge. You fill out a card, you say who you want to win. Like, the first year I did it, I came in 3rd place after a woman dressed as a man. Like, that's where I came on the male beauty contest. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I kind of feel like everybody I told that, they were like, yeah, that's about where we had you.